One, and we're
Wow, we actually got the
live.
count right.
Hey guys, Thunder E here, and welcome to episode 21 of the weekly. I'm here with Terminator and the one and only Mr. Juan Bagnell. How's it going, man?
It's going well, man. It's been a really cool week, and we've got a ton of E3 coverage to talk about. Even though I'm not the hippest, coolest gamer dude anymore, I think we can still have some fun with this.
Okay, let's fire it up. So E3 was this week, if anyone didn't know, and it's a lot of gaming announcements: Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo. So I think I'll start off with Nintendo because I'm going to throw them into the uselessness of the week.
I think a lot of people would.
So Nintendo was the last company to do its E3 press announcement, which they usually do on the second day, I think Tuesday. Sorry, is it Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday. Nintendo made some cool announcements. We saw a Star Fox Zero, which is coming on the Wii U, which is nice. We saw Yoshi Wally World, which is actually pretty cool.
We've got editable Super Mario levels.
Yes, finally. I mean, we're talking before the Hangout. Juan said this is something we should have had since Super Nintendo days.
Right. Well, if you think about it, like especially growing up our generation where we were playing with things like Legos and Super Mario, and you always had that idea as a little kid, like, man, I wish I could make something in Super Mario. And so now we can, but I'm now in my 30s.
Yeah, let's not talk about our age. Okay, just keep it where it is. No, but I definitely agree. That to me that was the best thing Nintendo announced. Because I saw some of the worlds people created. Some people are bastards. Like there's one world where, at least one level where everything was a Goomba coming out of the your boxes. There's only one mushroom somewhere hidden in the map. So this guy's like running around, like popping, hitting all the boxes, and then just Goombas are following him. He's like, which is cool. But, back to the idea of the uselessness. Nintendo didn't announce anything. They said they're not going to announce anything on their codename console. That's 2016, which means most likely a 2017 launch, hopefully.
Well, do you think? I mean, just to stop right there on that one part of the announcement, and I'll be honest, it was a little tricky keeping up with E3 news this year, just because I am not as on the pulse when it comes to gaming as I used to be. But when Nintendo's saying their console is 2016, do we think that means that they're going to hold off until next E3 to announce and then try and get it in for holiday season? Is that what we think Nintendo's going to try and do for their calendar?
Yeah, it's still gonna be that. They're still gonna go. I mean, there's no time for consoles traditionally launch Christmas for a reason, because you can still amass a lot of sales around then. So there's no way that console. Okay, let's take away 2017 and say they will launch 2016, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only thing we can get close is if Nintendo does some announcements starting the fall about this console.
Right.
But Reggie said 2016. So whether he means the launch 2016 or whether he means announcements, I don't know. And I was just at that point, I already lost all hope at that point. They didn't give us, usually even Nintendo in the past will give us the concept and say, oh, here's Code NX. Oh, we're not showing too much, but here's our dream. And then the next year you see Code NX in its full glory or whatever the case may be. It's like the Wii. The Wii was just announced, and it took a whole year. We were speculating about the power of the system, not knowing this thing was so underpowered, until it eventually launched. But this time they said no, none of that, So I was completely bummed out about that. And then, they had the audacity not to showcase anything of Zelda. They showcased all the Zelda games like Zelda and 3DS, but we've been waiting for this Zelda and nothing.
Yeah,
nothing at all. And then Warren just cued it at the right time.
All right, thumbs up. Let's do this.
So Warren, we've sort of given Nintendo the uselessness, and I would be very curious to hear your thoughts on whether or not that was appropriate.
After, at first, yes, but kind of after reading basically Nintendo's excuse for not showing it, basically we're not really done with the game. We probably made some other ideas, and we're sorry for really pretty much showing this last year. I can kind of give them a pass on uselessness.
I'm not giving them a pass. Fuck that. Sorry, I'm
I,
gonna swear
I,
here because you know what? Nintendo keeps doing this. You're a dying company. You need to give me something exciting. At least just show me
well,
something
the thing is,
exciting and say this is where the game is progressing.
I don't think they have more than that. That's the problem. I don't think they do. I think they have what we showed at E3 and probably a little bit more, and then I think somewhere along the lines, development change. This happened. This happened with Zelda more than once.
No,
Where they get
I
one
know that,
idea
but what's the
and then
point?
development changes.
What's the point of again? This is going to be Zelda that
They
will
showed.
half
You
Wii,
gotta,
half NX or something. I
you
mean,
gotta
what's going
remember
on?
they showed an extremely good tech demo that was somewhat of a game. They tried to pass it off that it wasn't. Remember, they did this with the GameCube.
Yeah, I
And
remember.
they got the cel-shaded Zelda right after the fact. So it's not surprising from them. But at the same time, it's not like, Zelda's going to be good. And if they're going to take their time to do it, at least they gave us another Zelda in the Triforce Saga. So at least we have another DS Zelda that's based on the Zelda that recently came out that was very, very good. That it took a while to develop that, and it came out to be very, very good. What the heck was it called? A Link Between Worlds. And it's basically that same sort of art style and the same sort of Link, and they're doing sort of Ford Swords Adventure, but with 3 of them instead of 4.
I could care less.
I actually will. It's gonna sell. At least they're putting out a game, and it could be worse. It could put out nothing like they usually do. They usually don't put any game out. Think about it. No. Usually, what do we get between? What do we get between like when they showed that tech demo and like Wind Waker? We got a pre-order and all the bullshit games from before. That's what we got.
I
That's
hear
all
you.
we got the last time.
See,
so
I'm tired. Like I
used
used to be a die-hard Nintendo fan. I did not buy.
Yeah, I am too, but they've been doing this thing forever. That's how they handle their IPs, and it's nothing new. And it's honestly it's not just them. It's almost every Japanese game publisher does the same.
Yeah, which is why.
Look how long it took us to get a Final Fantasy remake, a Final Fantasy VII remake that the audience.
We'll get to PlayStation in a second. But you made a very good point because the Mega Man creator stated this week at E3. He says Japanese game developers need to grow up.
Oh, yeah.
You cannot be doing the same thing over and over again where you super delay titles. By the time it comes out, you know what? We don't care anymore. Look at even the Last Guardian, right? I mean.
Nobody cares.
I've lost all desire for that game. You know, when
Nobody
I first saw it, I was like,
yeah. About that. Nobody cares. Stop making the game. Make it free.
But I can say the same thing for Zelda. Zelda has lost me. I will not buy a Zelda game anymore because I just won't. No, dude.
Yeah,
I didn't own the last one. I didn't because they did the same thing. I'm just saying that losing people like me who are on the fringe.
I'm pretty sure you downloaded the free Zelda EHD remix that came on your Wii U.
No,
okay.
I didn't. I mean, the last Nintendo game I bought was Mario Kart. That's it. I'm done with this kind of foolish delays. Like to me, it's you being you don't respect your fans at this point. You really
no. Them not respecting their fans is beforehand when they gave us on a GameCube disc the bullshit. Here we're sorry that we basically showed you a tech demo. Now we're giving this cel-shaded game out of the nowhere, and now we'll just give you all the old Legend of Zelda game that you already paid for on a disc if you pre-order the game from us. But then they released the same damn thing a year later as a standalone title with more games in it. So that's honestly disrespecting. The fact that they're actually putting out a full DS game, a full-blooded DS game. It's not going to be a BS game. It's not like a side story or some just half-heartedly adventure. They put a lot of development in the game, the legitimate Triforce Saga game. At least they are putting that out there. If you go to any other developer that does these things, you get jacked. Go look what do you get out of Rockstar?
I don't care. I don't care about that. I don't care about that.
What do you get out of Square Enix? Nothing.
No.
What do you get out? I'm listening to developers.
No. Where do you mentioned Rockstar? When Rockstar says we're going to drop this game 2 years from now,
and
when Bethesda does that, they drop it 2 years from now.
And they delay it, just like every other game gets delayed. No game has ever launched the day that it says. Find me one.
No,
Find one.
I'm not talking. I'm not talking about date. I'm talking about 2 years from now. Nintendo will just tell you it's coming till Jesus arrives himself.
I honestly
and
would
then
prefer
you play
that
the
than the
game
false
with
Okay,
Jesus.
guys,
dates that
I'm
everyone
I'm
else
actually
does.
gonna jump in and call this. The one thing I would like to get a quick thoughts from both of you guys from the question Joseph Hampton just dropped. A couple of articles came up stating that Nintendo stock dropped after E3. I was just wondering what you thought about that, because I think market reactions to these kinds of announcements are always very precarious.
Oh, it's on point.
Well,
I mean, Nintendo's
they already loaded all their
Oh.
big titles last year, so everyone's coming now this year. So they don't have anything else big to talk about other than Mario Maker. That's it. That's their 30th. All they're doing for the 30th anniversary of Mario is the Mario Maker. I thought that was more disappointing than them actually putting out a new Mario game. Not putting on any new Mario. I thought I was more disappointed, honestly, about not hearing that than I was about to. Oh, surprise! Zelda's like, man, that's nothing new, and just move on from it. How many times have you done it? They showed it at E3 and done it again. They did it with Twilight Princess too. So it's the same thing over and over again. I just go, whatever. I'm gonna like it. I'm gonna play it when it comes out. But I'm more disappointed that there's no new Mario, Super Mario World. Where's the Super Mario Galaxy for the Wii? Where's that style game? Nowhere to be found. This
Right.
would have been a perfect time. I understood the sales of that game are not as high as the traditional Super Mario 3D World games that follow more of the traditional platforms. They don't. They don't sell as well as the standard platform Mario game. But this would have been a perfect time to push that game right now.
Right.
And they did not do that. I think that's the more disappointing thing, because the Mario Maker thing is just the hacks that everybody else has been doing for years now.
well
I'm
in
not going to pay for that.
in the point of from a stock analysis point, it is depressing. It is very depressing because
Also,
because Nintendo stock has dropped. It started rising at least a couple of months before E3.
you want to know why that happened?
Expecting some announcements. I mean, honestly, they didn't announce anything.
I'm going to tell you how the stock rose and fell. Its stock rose when you heard this NX thing, and then immediately within 3 minutes of the Nintendo Direct, when they said we'll have more NX in 2016, went right back.
Because they didn't announce anything. I mean, even if you don't mention NX and then you don't show a plethora of games for people to go, oh, okay, you've got stuff to hold off till then. There was nothing to hold off people to then. That's the
showed
thing.
Star Fox. They did, but all their games they released last year, all the big hits are already out. They already are there. What were they gonna announce? I would have loved them to actually announce a Metroid game, not that BS one they're coming out with.
Well, anyway, let's move on from Nintendo because I'm just very depressed at this point.
Well, I mean, we've got two other major companies to talk about, let alone
Yeah.
any of the other announcements that you guys want to cover. So we should probably get on that.
Yes, let's move on. Let's move on. So, moving on to Sony. Sony made its slew of announcements. They showed us Last Guardian. The biggest announcement I think from Sony was the fact that they mentioned that the new home of Call of Duty is PlayStation. You know,
For what, 3 months?
They said now, who knows? Well, according to some reports, comes to sales, is that the PS4 sold at launch of Call of Duty sold 4.5 million copies, while the Xbox sold 2-point-something million copies of Call of Duty, which is one of the reasons why. They didn't mention how many 360 Call of Duties were sold also, which would probably balance the whole thing.
Of course, they're not going to mention that.
But it seemed like that was one of the deciding factors, and of course Sony probably paid some cash for that. But in terms of Sony announcements, with that, Final Fantasy and all that, what are your thoughts? I'll start off with you, Juan.
I'm going to keep this simple. The state of console gaming right now, it makes me a little twitchy when you hear this is the home of Call of Duty. Because I'm probably gonna play it on a PC. I don't like playing first-person shooters on controllers on consoles, so I'm the wrong person to talk to about whether or not I was digging on Sony. The one thing you didn't mention, and the one thing that I find very curious, and we can maybe table this for a separate video even, is their announcement on Shenmue 3 being Kickstarter. And I'm not entirely sure how I feel about major development like that being.
That was a little BS the way they
thrown
did
to
that.
Kickstarter. I mean, like,
That was a low. That breaks what the point of Kickstarter is.
Kickstarter is. I have a problem when, famous Hollywood actors are out there on Kickstarter because they have access to resources that regular people don't. And I have a big problem when major game developers are using that as a resource because they have access to resources that indie developers don't. And I think it kind of betrays the whole reason. I understand it's sort of like putting up a pre-sale or a pre-order months in advance, or maybe even years in advance of the game actually being released, and so you can kind of take some of the edge off funding that way. But it always makes me feel like it's really sketchy when you sort of, so here's the audience, and if you pay us to develop this game like this, we'll do it. I just don't know that that's the way we should be conducting business on Kickstarter.
I think that's as a response to how well Mighty Number 9 did, but the difference between the rest of it, Mighty Number 9, there's no major studio behind that. That's just one major name behind that collected a few people together that genuinely needed the money to be able to develop the game they wanted to make. Because
and now we've got studios and major developers looking at this as a way to sort of vet the project and mitigate risk, and I think that's fine, but it's going to exhaust the community when more and more major studios, movie studios, TV studios, game developers are trying to utilize this service. I think it's damaging to the community over the long run of people who are actually interested in funding new projects from people that would otherwise not have the resources to accomplish this.
I think for me, what was the most damning thing about the whole thing there was it wasn't even the fact that it was a major studio. It was the fact that they did it at E3 at a Sony press conference.
Yeah. It's just really cynical, right?
Yeah, I mean, like if they had their own thing quietly or separately and said, "Hey guys, we're trying to push this game. You know what? Help us make Shenmue." That's one thing. But then you come up on stage, and I was kind of like,
the game's already.
I'm glad that Shenmue 3 is coming because I want to play the game. But Sony, can't you just pay for this?
Right.
Clearly, I think half of it already. I think there's a portion of it that already is paid, and I don't know what the hell else they're putting in to push this.
Yeah, I mean, they wanted to just raise only $2 million, which of course is for a game for this scope. They want to make the game $2 million won't be enough. So maybe that is like you said, but
I think let's gauge our interest to see how many people want to play Shenmue. Yeah. And that was pretty much what I think it was.
And combined with the fact that now they can claim some kind of free press from it. Oh, it's already raised over $2 million in like the first hour, and it's the fastest. Brr, 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 brr. So you've got all of these BS headlines that you can generate from it. Mm-hmm. But it feels like for me, it feels really cynical. It's like gaming the Kickstarter community. It doesn't feel like this was a genuine outreach to fans or a genuine outreach to the gaming community at large to resurrect a property that we cared about. It just felt like a bunch of cynical PR hacks got in there and said, hey, this is how we can drive some social media buzz and get more impressions across key demographics to synergize and make a proactive statement on our forward mission statements. And you're like, that's kind of crap. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a sad thing because like you talk. Have you ever heard of the game Star Citizen?
Yeah.
Yeah, Star Citizen is still the highest most funded Kickstarter game at 84 million.
Mm-hmm.
And this was just straight up fan push, out there. So that's the kind of thing you want to see, where the guy who developed the game came out and said this is his vision, this is what he wants to do, compared to an exec walking out with a Sony exec and saying, we're going to start the Kickstarter and it's in 5, 4, 3, 2, send your money over, that kind of thing. So that was definitely not cool at all. I mean, I still want to play the game, but
I do. But it's stuff like that where having participated on social media and on crowdfunding projects in the past, it's a little frustrating when someone who already has a megaphone and already has access to resources gets to eclipse what's going on. But anyway, I didn't mean to completely sidetrack the Sony thing, and I actually think that would be an interesting conversation to have in a separate video, just because we've seen the colossal failures from guys like Uwe Boll, who couldn't get a project funded on Kickstarter and then did his "fuck you" video which is hysterical. We can talk about that later.
He's a terrible director, man.
He accidentally gave us an almost good movie with Rampage and has been trying to recreate that almost success for a couple years now, and it's hysterical that he hasn't realized he's the butt of every joke. He's trying so hard not to be the punchline, and he is. So anyway, other Sony news, you guys can jump in on that now because I think I've already.
The other thing, of course, was the finally doing a Final Fantasy, Final Fantasy 7 remake.
Yeah.
Which the one thing I would agree is that it needed to be on the PS4, not the PS3. That's fine, but that's something they should have announced at launch of the PS4. Not now, but
No, I think now is fine because it would have won into your complaint about showing a game, talking about it.
Yeah.
And
This game is going to come out in 2018, 2017 earliest. That game is going to come out.
This might be out. Honestly, I think this might be out next year. I honestly think that at a point where
I hope so.
I think this can't be something they decided to start developing this year or last year.
The rumors have been on for like 2 years, right?
Yeah, I think they've been developing this during the PS. I think they've been developing this during the PS3 cycle. I think they've been because it's not an exact port. What they're honestly doing is remaking the game and changing certain aspects and scenarios, and parts of the story are going to be different as well too. So it's not going to be the exact remake. The lead developer really talked about that. He was like, if we just did that, it would just be an HD remake and we would just port the thing, but that's not what we're doing here. So it's honestly a remake, and they're doing essentially a new game, almost a new game. Basically.
Well, hopefully that pans out. Sony also announced that the VU TV service is expanding to San Fran and LA, and also it's getting a new a la carte feature where you can now pick and choose your channels that you want. But they didn't exactly state how that will work. They only did mention one bundle, which is kind of like their sports and entertainment, which has Showtime, Fox Sports, and then Machinima for I think like $15 or something. But we don't know what the other regular channel pricing. But it would be nice to see how that works out. Where now you don't have to have Bravo and watch the Kardashians if you don't want to. So you can take that out. And nobody found that funny. All right. All right, moving on from Sony. Microsoft also made its announcements. They showcased new hardware, a new controller, second controller that will be coming out this year, which is called the Elite controller. So before we even jump to anything else, since this is hardware, where at least we can deal with this a little bit much better compared to all the software announcement. Your thoughts on the controller? Start off with you, Warren.
It's interesting. It's definitely answering a community that's kind of been doing this for a long time. That are already kind of modding controllers, especially for pro gamers that compete in tournament level. So I think it's a good idea for them to make this and essentially open that market to where they're making elite controllers, and then hopefully other companies will also make competitive controllers to that as well too. But having a basis with Xbox is a good move, I think. I think a lot of people will get it. I think it'll give them a lot of feedback on what to do as far as what made people like as far as the standard controller as well too, going forward. So they might make some changes to that as well. It's the prices. I think the price is fair for what it is and how much you're getting with it. Some people are complaining about prices. So that's if you're getting anything elite, high grade. I mean, just any type of controller that is outside of the standard controller, it's specialized or any type of high quality. You are looking at $100+ range for those type of controls, fight sticks and such. It's just that's the material and the build quality is just better, and so you're going to pay more for it. But I think it's a good idea. I think a lot of people will jump on it. I'd like to see them be able to customize the colors a little bit more. But overall, it's a controller that I can't wait to kind of get my hands on and play some games that can take advantage of it. Especially those bottom paddles. It looks like a really interesting feature that I think a lot of gamers will like.
Cool, Juan.
I mean, a lot of what Warren said. I'm always just going to be stoked to see a first-party piece of hardware come out where they are addressing some of those concerns about stepping up to a nicer experience. I mean, we all have like those memories of when you would go over to a friend's house and they would have the actual nice, legit first party controller, and then you'd have like the Mad Catz broken, gummed up piece of crap controller.
Yeah.
You know, like all the buttons would stick and stuff like that.
Especially when you're playing Street Fighter and he hands you that one.
Right. Totally. I also had a friend who would always put on like the auto fire for Honda.
Yeah.
So just on like the fierce button. Like, that's such crap. But seeing company like seeing a first party piece of hardware like that is always exciting to me, because I think it speaks to the companies actually taking this audience seriously. You know what I mean? Like, I think this is actually a pretty decent sign of respect that they're saying, we think our consumers actually do care about this. We think our consumers are understand why it's more expensive. Because I hate I would totally buy it if it were worth half a ham sandwich. You know, like, I can't stand that discussion on, is it worth it? Because most of the time that's someone who never would have bought it anyway, but they feel like they're going to weigh in on how much something should cost. But that to me means that that the manufacturing is looking at this saying like, oh no, I think we think our fan base is actually on board something like this.
Yeah.
And I think it's a sign of maturity. You know, like we can admit a better quality experience probably needs to come with a higher price tag, and gaming should be taken seriously like that.
Yeah. One thing I like about the controller is how easy it is to swap, because it's got magnetic locks, and you can see you pop up the thumbsticks. You can replace it with the pressure sensitive ones, change the D-pad by just literally just popping in and out. It looks very fluid in terms of just like functionality. So it's nice, and I agree with you with the price. $149.
Which I think that's super. I mean, especially when you look at the customization that can go into it, when you look at the build materials that go into it. I mean, it's the same thing we've talked about on other pieces of hardware. If you're comparing the guts of a tablet, you can't say that a tablet made out of plastic a tablet made out of metal should cost the same as a tablet made out of plastic. You have to admit that certain materials cost more, and so this, I think, was a terrific step in the right direction for building out higher quality products and charging appropriately for them.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm just looking at a standard SCUF controller is $139 without you customizing it to any form of function. So $129 is the lowest. Goes up in price, $159. You can add more stuff to it. So this is building off the standard Xbox One controller, by the way. So I'm sure SCUF will come up with a model that's built off the new controller. So, and that would be like $200. So, in terms of pricing, I think it's spot on there. So, I mean, it was nice to see Microsoft do that and kind of just lay that out and say, hey, look, this is that premium experience we want to give everyone. The other thing they also announced they also showcased is why they bought Minecraft in all its glory. Yeah. They just said, you know what? We're willing to spend $2 billion for one thing.
Yep.
And he was like, yeah, here's HoloLens. And the guy's sitting down and he's viewing it. He's like, let me go to God mode. And you just like, table, draw. You're like, that's it, done. It's a wrap. It's a complete wrap. So
I'm not a Minecraft kid. I've logged maybe 3 hours total trying to get into Minecraft. And seeing the HoloLens demo has me crazy excited for the potential of this game.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, for me, I don't even like Minecraft. Let's just even put it that way. I'm not a fan. I don't think I ever would touch it. But this is one of the few times where I've seen a game that I don't like, and I've gone, like, that is nice. It opens the world for, like you said, you can do Legos. What I want to see is eventually maybe I will be better playing something like StarCraft against all those Korean kids who will kill me online currently right now, if I can play this way, because I can put my whole map on the table and look at what I'm actually doing in StarCraft compared to me on my my PC and stuff like that. So it opens a lot of opportunities for many different games, and that was actually nice to see from Microsoft. The other thing, they also announced their partnerships with Valve and as well as Oculus. So it looks like Microsoft is making the clear distinction that we're not going to make anything VR. We have two partners that will do that for us. We are just strictly focusing on HoloLens. So that was interesting. Anything in terms of games you guys found interesting from Microsoft? Warren?
Mainly just Rise of the Tomb Raider. That's
I know you were excited about that.
I'm excited for that game. That game looks great. Looks like that's going to be a lot of fun. Other than that, not much in terms of the games. Standard games they put out. Kind of been expecting things they announced a year ago. Now we're seeing more of it. That's typically what E3 is. But I think the overall they put a pretty decent presentation together.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Juan?
Nah, not really. I mean, Minecraft was the biggie for me. I'm really interested in what we can do beyond VR, because I know we've kind of talked about VR and augmented reality, and I keep looking at augmented reality, even though it's not VR, it doesn't take you to a completely different place. I think there's going to be something very interesting psychologically about what we can do with augmented reality to improve the gaming situation, and I think some people will be less turned off by augmented reality than completely enclosing their head in a system. So I look at Minecraft, and the first thing I think of for HoloLens will be the potential future for horror games. Why go to a VR system where you're in a creepy old house when you can start telling like a Silent Hill style survival game that takes place in your home? So that's the kind of thing, like, that's where I really want to see some of these things push, where I want to see some of these things develop, where I want to see them get better. But I mean, sorry, to take it back to E3, that to me was the big gaming announcement. That was the one I was most hyped up about.
For me, it was two. I mean, Tomb Raider, I was excited to see it. I was like, wow, I definitely have to pick that up. But I'm a Gears of War fan, so just seeing anything from Gears 4, I was like, yes, finally, I can play it. And the Ultimate Edition, which they're going to release this year. So that was cool. I mean, kind of summing up E3, I think Microsoft had a better showing because they didn't necessarily pander. They just showcased what they had, and they said, this is a hardware, this is what we're doing on VR, this is what we're doing on augmented, and these are the games we have this year, and we have, I think, 1 or 2 games that you should expect next year. That's it. So I actually appreciated that from Microsoft this year, where it was, it was kind of straightforward. And then they showcased the new dashboard. Sorry, I was thinking of the name. I was going to call it just UI, but I was like, wait, no, it's called something. Something. Have you seen the new dashboard, Juan?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you haven't? Okay. All right. Well, thoughts on the dashboard, Warren? Since Juan hasn't seen the new Xbox One dashboard.
It's nice. It looks fast. It's like it's very geared for definitely the gaming audience is where they're focusing that on, and not so much the audience that's more using this as sort of their media-centric device. That I think there's a good contingent of Xbox owners that use that for, and it seems like they're really starting to shelve that away from the Xbox, which is a little disappointing considering what a lot of people bought it for. But we'll see when the final software comes out. But it just seems like to me it's just like it's definitely heavily gaming focused, and anybody that kind of used all the other multimedia features, I think it just kind of got stuffed away.
Well, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, it is gaming focused, but the way it is, it seems like it's still very easy access to that kind of stuff. Plus, since now it's powered by Cortana, which means your Kinect is just Cortana anyway now, because Cortana, they mentioned that and said, basically Cortana is built into this new UI itself. So that for me was kind of cool, because then that brings up a lot of those Cortana features that we've seen, on PC as well as Windows Phone. So
just pulling it up, I am kind of curious. I mean, not curious. It is kind of interesting that they're getting rid of the live tile.
Yeah.
Aspect of it, like the entire design looks more fluid for a game console. But knowing that we're also going to be pushing Windows 10 to this platform in the near future, I think it's kind of interesting that they're looking to shake up the user experience.
Yeah, for me, one of the things I got from that was that they almost wanted to make, like kind of to what Warren says, where gamer centric, but also wanted to make that clear distinction that maybe this is the one piece out of that whole puzzle. That even though it's running Windows 10 per se, doesn't have to look like a Windows 10, PC or your Windows phone. Whether it's strictly because of gamers, like Warren mentioned, or something that they wanted to do to kind of give you that mix where you can hop in and out, and it's much more fluid with your tiles. You necessarily won't get that same feel there. So, like you said, we'll see once it launches. Or at least we'll get it. I think October, right, is when they stated it's going to be available.
Yeah,
So we'll see it. We'll see how it is. But at least on the best benefit for me is that it's faster, which means better response on the UI. So I'm all happy for that in general. But in terms of E3, who would you say won E3? Which we always do. We know it's not Nintendo, so let's just put them away.
I mean, just because I wasn't as hyped up about this E3, my vote's going to go to it's not even that it goes to Microsoft. My vote goes to HoloLens. HoloLens won E3.
Okay. How about you, Warren?
I don't really know. I've always had this problem with who wins E3. Do you really win an E3? But
well, we win consumer reaction, though. I mean, that's
consumer reaction. I mean, consumer reaction in me has been very dependent on not so much who, but what got announced. Yeah, probably people. Okay, but one thing we didn't mention, probably if that's the case, who won E3? Xbox 360 backwards compatibility won E3 because that got the biggest reaction.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, that's pretty huge.
Yeah.
That got the biggest.
Forgot about that completely. Yeah.
And all of the people that rushed out for why backwards compatibility isn't the right move, headlines need to disappear. I mean, I couldn't believe that I was actually reading headlines from people that were bemoaning backwards compatibility. And for every single time we see consoles advance in some way that brings them closer to the PC gaming experience, I don't understand the people that talk trash. I've just never got it.
It's clickbait anyway. It's the reason this
They're probably the same ones that got mad that it didn't have backwards compatibility.
Yeah, exactly. You
Google the site, you probably see it's the same author.
I mean, it makes no sense. I mean, for me, I don't care about backwards compatibility because it doesn't bother me. But on a business sense, and also for other people who are still on the 360, is great. I mean,
this is just the upgrade path that I kept saying over and over again about this. I said they need an upgrade kit of some sort, of some kind, to make those Xbox 360 users upgrade to an Xbox One. This is the first step in that.
Yeah, no, definitely.
That's what it is.
We have a few questions here. Sean Lawrence says, when Sony didn't announce the new God of War, I lost interest. I kind of agree. I was actually hoping for a new one because that game series has been pretty cool on PlayStation. And then Joseph Hampton Jr. says, check out Total Biscuit's review of Sony's E3 coverage. He gave further insight to the Shenmue Kickstarter. It was more like an interest check that Warren mentioned. Sony will put up more of the cash. Can't you just tell me it's coming out? You don't have to make money off.
No, that's the problem I have with using Kickstarter for what Kickstarter isn't designed for. I mean, that I have a real problem with. If the purpose of putting up of creating a service like Kickstarter is to give resources to people who don't normally have resources, then when a company like Sony walks in and uses Kickstarter as a sounding board, they're sort of abusing what the mission statement of Kickstarter was, and that's I think I have a problem with that.
No, I definitely agree. And let's see here. Joseph Hampton Jr. says, I was more Chun-Li with a rapid fire.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I can totally see that. Anytime you needed to button mash, he would always throw it on turbo, and you're like, you jerk.
Yeah, I know. I hated people like that. It just pissed me off. And he also says the games won E3, the gamers. That sounds like a PR statement, dude.
Pretty much is a PR statement. Come on, bro.
Thank you for your comments, Joseph.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, he shared a photo of his controller. Let me share my screen.
I think it's useless. This thing. I would never buy this thing in a heartbeat. What the hell did you buy this? You definitely bought
the Honeybee SM3.
You definitely bought that in a Walmart. You bought that shit in a Walmart, dude. That was
my God.
You bought that at a Walmart Supercenter in the little gaming section. I guarantee that you bought that for like $20.
Wow. I haven't seen something that messy for a while.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He said my old SNES controller back in the day. Yep, that is very true, man.
Damn.
And then Sean Lawrence just asked our thoughts on backward compatibility, which we just mentioned. Any other thing that was interesting in the E3 that you noticed or heard?
I know a lot of people talked about Bethesda a lot.
You know what's getting kind of frustrating is when we have this whole like new buzz thing, like VR is the new buzz. This is the buzz, and VR is at E3. We heard a lot of people talking about VR because like Morpheus was back on display, Sony's version, and Oculus had rigs and stuff like that for people to try. Did anything actually come out? Were there any actual announcements?
Nope.
Did I miss something?
No, Oculus made its announcements before E3, and they didn't mention the price. They said the price would be announced at the end of this year.
Right, but that's what I mean is like for all the people that were talking about like, oh, and here's the new thing that's going to be at E3.
What was shocking to me with VR was, I thought Project Morpheus and Valve's VR would have at least a bigger showing.
Right.
To kind of combat Oculus, but Oculus, according to everyone's report, was still won the day. Like they felt that was the most polished, that it was almost ready to go in their mindset. I'm sure they still have things to tweak out, wherever the case may be, but from everyone, they're like, yeah, Morpheus is cool, but they're like, yeah, if you want to go VR right now, it looks like it's Oculus, and it looks like Valve stuff is not ready because Valve wants to do a lot of spatial stuff with it too, which requires sensors at least placed around in certain locations. So that one was kind of off. But I agree with you. There was no, there was nothing that was announced that set a precedent there. So it was kind of like that. But yeah, that was E3, I guess, in a nutshell. There,
you all sound so defeated. Yes, that was E3. Oh well.
I mean, E3 traditionally is, somebody has gone to a few of them. It traditionally is not the most exciting of shows unless new hardware is announced. Usually, when the new hardware is announced, and it is usually tied in with some games or some things that are sort of happening. Yeah. And I think interest just peaks more across the board for everyone. When it's just games, and I love hearing game announcements, but we're in a mostly high-speed internet world. You can pretty much do what Nintendo Direct does, and not need to have a giant conference about it, to be honest with you, in one location.
Right.
You can do this and then send public betas to everybody. They can relax at home and
that's the thing that was, of course, expanded this year. The beta, man. It's like
they all caught on to Google, man.
Yeah, it's beta.
Another one's not doing betas anymore. They're the ones that have all but stopped that. But Xbox is doing their little beta program thing now, the green light thing. And,
that was also cool. Yeah, we did. Yeah, actually, Xbox did have a lot of nuggets of like cool info announcements. They announced, like you said, the green. Is it green? Is it called green light, or is it called?
Steam, I don't know what it's called. It's the same idea.
It's like Steam Early Access, where now, especially for indie developers, you can buy into the game early and help the development process of the game, because the developer will be sending you chunks of the game each time that they build.
I have a certain problem with that. My whole thing is, it's like you're essentially paying to develop a game that you're going to pay to play. Why don't you just hire me to help you develop the game and then put out a finished product?
Because most people can't actually develop anything. I understand that. It works well with Steam Access because it's built for certain people, and to me, it's more like if you want to do, you do it, and it's the same idea. It's like if you have the game, you try it out. If you don't want to opt in, you're like, I don't want to opt in, I'm fine. But if you do, then you're helping develop the game, even though you have no development skills whatsoever. That's what it's really meant for. It's for people who are like that, who can say, hey, you know what, your level tracking here is this, and I like that, but if you can change this,
you know what that's called? You know what that's called in the real development world? What's it called?
Beta tester.
No. It's QA. That's quality assurance.
We have a whole department for
but you're doing it for an indie developer. You're not doing it for big game studios. Two different things.
Well, from what we know, we don't know how transparent that is. Since big studios can just push out Kickstarters and
we'll see how
BS ways,
but if
get away with it.
Microsoft itself them said they are really copying what Steam is doing Steam early access. That's what it was built for. So at least I'll take it on the word for now that if that's the case, then yeah, that's fine. Because you're doing it for a smaller guy who's just one dude or two guys making the game. He needs people to help them out with it. So that's where the push is. So
That's what they have friends for.
you know. What if they have friends that don't play video games?
You don't have good friends, apparently. You're not hanging out with the proper crowds.
Any other tech news this week that was important that we should talk about, or
No, I mean there were a lot of little stories out. OnePlus 2 talking about how their phone's not going to be priced at $330 and trying to address concerns with the Qualcomm 810. There was also
they won't have a shortage of chipsets because
Nobody's
nobody's using it.
There's LG G4 Pro rumors being talked about.
G4 Pro rumors.
There is S6 Edge, a little more Pro rumors sort of came out a little bit. That's been mostly it's been quiet in tech because of obviously E3 happening. So, in the consumer electronic field, there hasn't been a whole lot of news this week, which usually indicates we're heading into the summer lull possibly. We haven't had one in a couple of years, but it seems like we're probably going to head into where things just kind of die down and we don't hear too much.
And there's still a lot of there's been a lot of Note 5 rumblings, early rumblings.
Yeah, well, it's almost at time. It's not early. That phone gets announced in.
No. What I mean by early rumblings is the fact that they're talking about it might be an earlier launch this year. Like from all indications, from different sources, saying that it looks like Samsung is pushing an earlier launch, and that they actually might go with a USB Type-C. So we'll see.
I don't know on the USB Type-C thing. I think that's wishful thinking right now. But
hey, they could, man. Samsung has done it before with USB 3.0. So
yeah, but you can still use the 2.0 cable with that. You didn't need necessarily an adapter. This is changing the whole schema around with a new connection, and that not too many people have in their PCs right now. So I don't know about that. I think we're still a couple of years away from USB-C really being something that we all have. I don't think you can buy it. Can you? You can't even buy it as a desktop card. I think. Yeah, can you?
Yeah, you can now. A few motherboards already have it available with USB Type-C. So.
And we gotta wait for the laptops to have. Like a lot of people have mobile. The whole idea of the thing obviously is to be able to reverse charge or charge between devices back and forth, similar to what the Huawei phone did, where they could charge other devices because it was such a huge battery. It could charge.
Yeah, I mean it's true, but I mean the biggest part of USB Type-C is the bandwidth. It is nuts. Crazy bandwidth. So I mean, I'm all for that bandwidth.
That matters to us for desktops, laptops, and hybrid devices. On the mobile side of things, and we stream everything, does the data need to really be that fast through that cable? How many times you're plugging it in, other than the charge? So if it gives you a faster charge, that's great. If you can plug it in, and your phone charges in 30 minutes, and you got a full charge, that's amazing. That will make everyone happy.
Steaming hot.
Yeah. Well, that's already that already happens on quick charge with certain phones that I'll get into. Yeah. But what is the purpose of it unless you get a phone with a battery doing what? I forgot the name of that Huawei phone. It debuted at CES not last year but the year before, and it was the same idea where it
Well, Blue has a similar phone.
Blue has a similar phone. It does it where it has like a 5,500 milliamp battery built in, and you can charge other. I'm surprised Motorola didn't do this. You can charge other devices with that phone, like just being able to you can plug in an adapter, and now you're charging someone else's iPhone. And I think that's the biggest thing you're going to get out of that as far as on a phone scale of things. And so,
I think the biggest thing, it's not even that. The biggest thing is just plugging in that USB without flipping it whichever way. I'm serious. There's so many times you take a micro USB and you're like,
oh wait, flip it.
Yeah. I mean, it's really annoying.
But now we're going to spend years with phones that don't have it, having to flip adapters, put adapters in, and still do the same thing.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. I think we have a while away. I think it's exciting USB Type-C. I'm not trying to knock it. I think it's a very exciting proposition to have, because it really turns into, we're going into the spaces of one cable for everyone, even though Apple will find a way to make proprietary on that somehow. But everyone will have like the same sort of cable.
I'm just waiting for the EU to just say, please, let's use USB Type-C. Because once they drop that hammer down.
They already did.
Well,
they did it for micro USB, though.
They don't.
Yeah, they did it for micro USB, but Apple still said F it and just provided adapters. So they'll just do the same thing again.
Okay. Well, we'll see. Yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. In terms of entertainment, not much other than Ghostbusters is filming in Boston area. So,
well, and since last time we talked, what's his name? Thor is going to be the receptionist
in Ghostbusters. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still am not on board in this movie. I will check it out when it comes out. I just hope. I really was.
That's already kind of like they're trying to. They're already treading waters in the wrong way with that casting already.
I was hoping it to be completely. It looks like it's a remake, almost like a remake of the first one. But we'll see. It could be funny. Although some people were bitching. They're like, it takes place in New York. You cannot record in New York. Like, really? Ghostbusters, the first one was recorded in New York. I was like, well, it's cheaper here. So
with a handy cam, damn man.
Yeah,
New York doesn't even like. There's nothing similar to structure between New York and Boston, so this is very interesting. It is nothing in similar to structure of that. And it's like
they'll probably use the wide shots, the city and all that. There's stock footage of that you can use.
Yeah, but like I'm just thinking like there's no streets here. First of all, we don't have streets that actually go up and down in a straight line. So like so. How is that gonna work? I don't know. What are they gonna do? Just record in the North End or something?
Joseph Hampton said we should go see Dope.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Oh, I really want to see Dope.
All right, we will definitely check that out. Thanks for the reminder there. But yeah, that's I think that's pretty much it, guys. Nothing else. So we will wrap it up. Starting off with Mr. Bowman. What can we expect from you next week?
Some videos of the stuff variety.
Can you give us one video? One?
Maybe. I actually don't even really know. I have to go through my notes to see what I have to record coming up this week. I've actually the whole couple of trips that I had to take to a couple of items I had to do, and then a trip to New York kind of threw my entire schedule off. So I have to kind of get myself reorganized and rescheduled to back up again. So. Okay. I have to take a look at what's going to be recorded, but there'll be some new stuff next week.
All right, and of course, Mr. Wind back now.
So E3 kind of interrupted some of my budget phone coverage, so I'm going back to now finish up the LG G Stylo and the Alcatel Idol 3, just doing some camera stuff. And just general reviews on that. But I spent 2 days shooting a bunch of video, so we'll have full camera reviews out for those. And then speaking of cameras, I have a Kumba cam that I'm going to be really stoked to play with. It's a gimbal 3-axis stabilizer for smartphones. They make one for GoPros too, and it is a little pricey, but this is $299. But it's one of the most sophisticated stabilization rigs I've ever seen for a little mobile video. You can even kind of whip it around, and it's going to float with it, which is surprisingly sophisticated. Because even on a like on a $100 mechanical hand stabilizer, like those old fly cams, you can't do things like here. I'll even show you. You can do like camber adjustments in real time. To float and pan through the angles that you might want to shoot video. So I'm already really digging this thing, and it's funny because I posted just like a little video showing me kind of moving it around and stuff, and you're like, oh, it's way too expensive, and I would buy it if it were like $20 and a firm handshake, and no one does.
But they don't understand. People don't understand how much like video stabilization equipment costs, such as Manfredos and things of that nature. Which is absurdly expensive, and I'll even say that for what it is.
What's the battery in there? In that.
So it's got. I don't know exactly what they are. They're two little. They look like mini D-cell like they're rechargeables, but they look like old school batteries. There are two in there. I think they rate it for around 4 or 5 hours of continuous use.
Yes. Okay.
Which is also pretty decent because if you've ever done anything on Steadicam, they're swapping batteries like every hour or two for any rig that can handle like a DSLR style camera, or let alone a RED. So if you're shooting on RED on Steadicam, I mean, they're constantly taking that pack off to charge and to pull it back up. But anyway, it's been kind of interesting because I think this product represents a very first step in what we could maybe start using our phones for. I think it's a little ahead of the curve. I mean, at $300, no one who's buying a selfie stick is going to look at this and think that's what I need.
Yeah, of course.
But I also think, we've finally got image sensors that are starting to compete with GoPros built into our phones. And we're often having to tether action cameras to phones anyway so that we can use the screens as our viewfinders. So I think that this is a first step in the direction where our phones are probably going to become much more professional content creation tools. But the last thing that I wanted to I'm going to be covering next week is actually not necessarily just for tech and geeky stuff, but I started working with a leather manufacturer in Canada, and they do these really nice leather watch bands. So I'm going to do a little video on sprucing up a watch or a smartwatch with something a bit more attractive than the watch bands we normally get. And especially as if you have like an Apple Watch, then you're having to spend $200 on a watch band that you can get a nicer one, handmade, custom made by an actual leather manufacturer. So anyway, that's going to be my next week, and hopefully I'll actually get to all that stuff since I didn't this week.
Okay, cool. My end, CE week is going to cut into some of that stuff because I'm heading to New York again for that. Maybe a day or two I'll be there. But in terms of coverage, I still have to put up my NVIDIA Shield console review. I'm going to have some Apple Watch stuff, accessories. I don't even think I'm going to do a review on that thing just because I might showcase OS2. Because, man, because
I know that smartwatches are your favoriteest things ever.
No. Let's put it this way, right? So I was at PepCon. There were about 5 different, bloggers, reviewers, influencers, everybody, with Apple Watches, right? And I didn't talk to any of them, but I actually walked by and, the vendors were talking. It's like, so how do you like the Apple Watch? And the dude was like, I fucking hate it. I just need to review this shit and be done. And that was the constant, constant rumbling I heard. It's like I was like, okay.
Well, somebody's rant is coming true.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
I still think oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I think the difference here compared to like, say the Moto 360, compared to this, was kind of like the Moto 360 was, oh, okay, I like it's cool. The things I need to fixing, and this one's kind of like I think Apple did its worst overpromising ever.
Yeah,
with this device.
Well, and I think this is another step in the direction that if you're in tech journalism, if you're a gadget fan, Apple is not making this stuff for you. Apple is trying to be a Louis Vuitton brand. Yeah. They're trying to be a fashion brand. So it doesn't matter what the tech inside does. It doesn't. They have other people's money, and they're going after people with more money than gadget fans. Yeah. So that's another step in that direction where if you're a gadget fan and you care about capabilities and you care about the technology and you care about the features, then you should rightfully be upset at the pricing schedule that Apple has built out the Apple Watch for, because it's substantially more expensive than what you can do on similar and competing platforms, and you don't get the best bang for buck. But Apple doesn't care. Apple wants money from people that are looking at this as a style or a lifestyle accessory or a fashion accent. And then it doesn't matter how expensive it is because they're wearing the latest Apple. So, I'm still a very big fan of smartwatches. I actually have my Pebble Time.
I'm still waiting for mine. Mine should be coming this week.
I actually checked your email. I just got the notification today. That
I got the notification and I didn't respond in time, so it shipped out later. I was like,
Gotcha. So, I literally just got the email while we were talking. So I might have it next week. I might have it, who knows, in a month from now. But, I'm looking at these things as, again, it's another step in the right direction towards diversifying how we interact with services. And I think people that are looking at smartwatches as a new product segment are forgetting that we've been trying to do this since the Bluetooth earpiece came out. We need to spread out some of this stuff. So even if you just spread notifications to something that's a bit more organic, that to me is worth the price of entry. As long as the price of entry is not Apple Watch price of entry.
$17,000.
19.
And I just mean, like, it pisses me off to no end that the Apple Sport Watch is $350 and it's less durable than the Apple Watch.
Yeah.
You do not call something sport if you're going to build it out of aluminum and glass, and then turn around and make the premium model build it out of stainless steel and sapphire. You don't do that. If you're going to call it sport, why don't you build it out of plastic and then maybe save the money on the plastic, on the aluminum, building it out of plastic, and then make sapphire. It waterproof, actual waterproof, not just
it's not
water resistant, and use the sapphire screen. Then you have a real sport activity watch. So this crap from Apple, where they're sort of confusing product lines or confusing product assessments, they're definitely overpromising what these things are going to be capable of. I'm so frustrated, but again, it doesn't matter because Apple isn't making products for me anymore. They don't make stuff for me anymore. So
I mean, yeah, it's been very clear with the Apple Watch, with the new MacBook, that Apple's deviated from that. But I mean, I will compare it with the Pebble Time, and I can tell you who's going to win right now. It's the Pebble Time.
But I mean, even just like so I threw one of these like handmade watch straps on my Asus Zen watch, and I'm just friggin' digging it. It's it's just a clean, simple silver. There's a little rose gold accent, and I've got a watch strap in oxblood, and it's just freaking sick. This whole setup is going to cost way less than the
How
Apple
much are the
Sport
straps,
Watch.
by the way?
$40.
Okay.
Handmade, hand-stitched, Horween leather, and you have a whole bunch of color options. I'm digging it, man. I mean, I think that's a cool way that you can kind of personalize something. Oh, and also, I have a whole collection of funky watches. I've just been a watch fan my entire life, so that kind of stuff I just dig. But anyway, I don't need to.
Yeah.
Well, we should probably just end this.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I'm thinking of doing this. I want to do I'll do like a review roundup of my thoughts on Deep Space Nine, either next week or the week after. Just kind of put everything together.
Let me know, or if you decide that you want to try and do it live or
yeah.
something, because I'll jump in on DS9.
Yeah.
I have a lot of thoughts on Ronald D. Moore.
And because of that, I have now jumped to Voyager, and
You mean Lost in Space meets Captain Janeway?
You guys have thrown me to like a Star Trek rabbit hole, man. Seriously.
Well,
I should not have opened my mouth then and said that.
So here's the thing. I'm not gonna keep putting pressure on you for Voyager and Enterprise. I checked out of Star Trek in Voyager.
Yeah, I'm feeling that way right now. I'm feeling.
So I don't know that you need. I mean, not like. I don't necessarily. We should save this for the actual show. But I was a big Next Gen fan, huge Next Gen fan. I was a big Deep Space Nine fan. I was super stoked about Voyager, and then I just kind of fell off. And I didn't even actually finish Voyager until it was on Netflix. So when it was actually on TV, I stopped watching and never finished the series until I could stream through
Netflix.
A lot of stuff to get to it. And then I did the same thing with Enterprise, and Enterprise became one of those shows that I would just have on in the background. I still don't know what Enterprise was about because I never really paid attention to it. So I don't know that you need to keep putting pressure on yourself to...
No. I got into, after Deep Space Nine, I got into a Star Trek void, right? And
gotcha. I need more Trek.
And I didn't want to watch Next Gen because I've watched a lot of Next Gen. I haven't watched it in order, but I've watched a lot. So I was like, no. Let me go with Voyager. I've watched some episodes of Voyager. I might as well check it out, from the very beginning. And I know I'm not watching Enterprise because I actually started Enterprise and I just checked out immediately. I was like, I'm sorry, I can't do this.
And it had so much potential, and it's just disappointing that they took it in the direction that they did.
Yeah.
But.
So that's that. But anyway, guys, definitely check out all our channels. Check out Mr. Warren Bowman at BWone.com. It's a website. Also check him out on YouTube, BWone.com. Subscribe to the channel. Check out all his videos. Check him out on Periscope, Instagram, wherever. No, it's not MySpace.
Nobody's on MySpace.
We should all like
Absolutely.
start hyping up MySpace again.
Yeah, like MySpace. Go back to
We're
MySpace.
gonna be doing a MySpace live blog. Come join us. You know, we can like triple their traffic.
Oh God, no.
Who is doing their minds?
So yeah, check him out. That's his handle right there, BWone.com. And also check out Mr. Juan Bagnell from Somegadgetguy.com. He is Some Gadget Guy on YouTube as well as Juan Bagnell. Either one you search, you will find him. Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, everywhere on the web. Just type in Juan Bagnell or Some Gadget Guy. You will see his face, his likeness. You will be happy.
You'll hear the dulcet tones of Some Gadget Guy.
Yes. And you can find us at Booredatwork.com. It's Booredatwork for Twitter, Facebook, all the social media. It's all Booredatwork. So thank you very much, guys, and always enjoy your entertainment.
Bam.